Hello, everybody. It's so good to see you again. Can you believe it's another Thursday? And here we are on YouTube hanging out together and crafting. And January is almost over. Like, I don't know. We were just celebrating the new year, and here we are. It's the 20th and almost the end of the month. So, we're going to continue on with our journey today, working with hearts, but not necessarily Valentines. And as I was setting up my live stream today, I noticed this little button down at the bottom, and I have it because it's my channel. I don't think you guys can see it, but there was this little button there, and I was like, oh, what is that? And I clicked it, and it was to create a poll. So I thought, well, let's have fun with a little poll today. So if you are looking at the chat, you should see two things pinned to the top. One is always today's supply list and the link to the tip jar. And then the second one is a poll, and it might be collapsed. So if you see it collapsed, it's because, and it just says yes, click on that. And it's a poll. And so today's poll is, have you ever sent a Valentine to a friend? So that would be like a galentine, or I'm calling them palentines. So if like you're sending them to your guy friends, or guys are sending them to guys, but you're just friends. Have you ever done that before? And right now we are running 50-50. It's so cool to see the numbers go up and down. I'm having a lot of fun with that. So I think we might add in some more polls, because that's just kind of a fun way to get started, a little conversation starter to talk about the day's project and all that good stuff. So fun. I'll leave the poll up for a while, and we'll see how it goes. So welcome everybody to this week's Running with Scissors. I'm so glad that you are all here. If you are new to my channel, I would love for you to subscribe. So hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and the little bell next to that to get a notification for when I go live and when I post new stuff out on my channel, which is twice a week. I post a technique on Tuesdays, and then I go live every Thursday afternoon. So, and you can always catch the replay whenever you like. And we have a lot of fun over here. So if you're new, I'd love for you to say hello and tell us where you're from. Good to see all of the usual suspects out there, including you, Lisa. I consider you a usual suspect now because you've been here more than once. So everyone else is out there. We're all talking about the weather as we always do. It is freezing here in Nebraska, freaking freezing, really. Super, super cold. It's going to get warm. The snow has been kind of like going up and down as far as like melting, not melting. We didn't get a lot of snow in that last snowstorm. So, Anne, I bet you got a lot of snow. My in-laws in Iowa got oodles of snow, and we were really sad because we only got like 4 inches, and it's like half melted. So it hasn't really been much of a winter here, and we could really use a big dump of snow. I don't know if we're going to get it or not. Anyway, it seems like spring will be here before we know it, because time is just flying by. So anyway, I'm so glad that you guys are here. Let's take a look at some announcements. I've got lots of free stuff to talk about today. So first of all, I want to talk about next month. So next month's theme is dies only, and it's featuring Alta New dies. So we're going to do layering dies. We're going to do background cover dies. We're going to do word dies. We're going to do all sorts of things with dies, and no stamping whatsoever. We will trying to think, there will be like other mediums besides dies, like we'll be doing embossing folders and things like that, but we won't be doing anything with stamping at all. None. Zip, zero, zilch. Which is really cool because, 10 years ago, you couldn't create a card really. I mean, well, you could, I suppose, but dies were not that popular, and dies were not as readily available. You could only really get the thick Sizzix Bigs dies. That's all that was out there. So you couldn't do all these really cool things with dies that you can do today. So we're going to have fun with dies next month. And there are all sorts of different Alta New dies. So you can pull out anything that you have that would kind of go along with the concept to create your own projects. All right, so next, the Card Maker Summit is coming up fast. So we just had a marketing meeting about it, and it's just like, oh my gosh, it's here. So that is from February 17th to 20th. It is a free event. There is a paid all access pass that you can get into to watch the videos anytime you want and have access to them all the time. Otherwise, our videos will just roll for 24 hours, and then the next days will come up, etc., etc. But that is a free event. And there's going to be a free Facebook group that you can get into, all sorts of things, crazy, crazy. But get onto the wait list now. You'll start to see things opening up maybe as early as like late next week, but definitely opening on February 2nd for getting your reservation in. So getting yourself registered. So go out to NicoleWattCreates.com/card summit, and that will take you to the Stamp Me Some Love site for the card summit. So it's not like my website, but it's someone else's, but it'll get you there. It's easier to just kind of remember mine. And that'll set you up for the reminders. And then when those come out, you can go ahead and register to get in on the event. I am working on Friday at 4 o'clock, so that'll be 5 Eastern. And I'm doing 2 cards. It's kind of a mixed media style using some Ulta New products and some other things. I'll probably go on the Facebook Live afterwards. That Friday night, we're doing a crop, I think, for the All Access Pass holders. Tons of things going on. All of the sponsors, a ridiculous number of sponsors, they are doing free stuff during the day. So all of our stuff kind of rolls at night. Mid-afternoon to evening, and then like sponsors are doing stuff during the day. There's going to be giveaways, all sorts of things. Now, if you went to last July's, I know there were some complaints about like how everything flowed and what was going on. That was the very first summit that Brandy ever ran. She did an amazing job, and it was completely overwhelming because she had 12,000 people register for the event, and it blew her away. She had no idea that it was going to be that popular. So kind of crazy, right? Like you can't plan for something like that, but she's planning for it now, and it's going to be even better. So if you encountered technical difficulties last time, you thought the pacing was kind of weird, things weren't quite tripping off like they should have, like you would have expected, just remember, last time was the first one. This is our second one. So of course there might be there's always technical glitches and stuff. So you just got to be patient with that. But it'll be the second one. She's got one under her belt. We're ready for tons of people. So give it a try again if you weren't quite sure about it the first time you did it. If you didn't join in the first time because you didn't hear about it, register. So go to NicoleWattCreates.com/card summit and sign up for the wait list, and it'll be opening in the next week or so. Okay, and I keep reminding you, so don't worry about it. Let's say, what else? Crafty sales. There are some sales popping up this weekend, so I wanted to let you guys know about my Crafty sales page, NicoleWattCreates.com/crafty sales. Very easy to remember. I'm updating that page every day. If I hear about a sale, I'm popping it up there with all the information. I also have some codes out there that are good all the time. So like Ulta New codes for free shipping, and scrapbook.com codes for 10% off orders. Those are good all the time. Like the scrapbook.com ones, you can only use one each once. So use them judiciously, like when you have a big order and you want to get 10% off of all of it. But those codes work and they're great to have out there. So check out the Crafty sales page, bookmark it, because like I said, I'm updating it like daily, putting out more information out there all the time. So check that out for sure if you need to do any crafty shopping this weekend or anytime. Always check there first to see if there's some kind of special going on at one store or another. And that leads me to, of course, today's shopping list is down below, and the link is pinned up in the conversation area as well. So if you do need to do some shopping, if you're interested in any of the products I'm sharing with you today, those are all linked, and they are affiliate links. So if you use them, I may get a small commission, no additional cost to you. As always, helps out all of the crafters out here that are doing all of their thing on YouTube and social media. All right. And if you want to support me directly, of course, there's always the tip jar. And thank you again to Erin for popping a tip in the jar last week. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much. Okay. I really tried to get through that quick. Okay. This week, we're continuing on, like this could have almost been a stamp market month, because I think almost everything I'm using is from the stamp market, plus a few others here and there. I really liked some of the things that came out there, so I really am enjoying playing with their stuff. Let me back out a little bit here. There we go. Ooh, that's better. So this stamp set is called Love Letter Express. Totally cute, and you can use it for not only like Valentines and love cards, but I mean like thanks, hello. I mean, hearts are always appropriate. All right. There is a die set. This is just called the postage stamp dies. They kind of coordinate, but not really. So none of these go with these. But this doesn't have a coordinating die set. So these are suggested as coordinating, and we're going to use these today. So I love the big postage stamp die. It's fabulous. And then we'll use the love as well. All right, we're going to pull out our scrapbook.com heart stencil, and let's look at the project. So here is our project for today. And so you can see it's got that die cut. And then this piece in the middle here. So this we're going to do faux jelly plate printing. And I'm going to show you how that technique works. In case you don't have a jelly plate, but you want that look, I'm going to show you how to do it. Okay, and then we're going to do some stuff on top of it and all that good stuff. All right, so that's today's project. Fun. Let's do it. Okay, so we're going to start by, believe it or not, we're going to start by die cutting, because we're going to mask it off. Let me get over here. There we go. Okay, so I've got this is just a silicone mat. This is just a plain old gray silicone mat. You can see it's got junk all over it. You can use like any kind of mat, like your Altenew mat or your other Altenew mat, or, you know, whatever kind of silicone mat you have. I think the thicker the better. So some of these, like this Altenew mat, is a little on the thinner side. The thicker the better, because it gives you a little bit more cushion. Of course, if you have a jelly plate or a gel plate, either way, use it instead. But if you don't, give this a try and see if you enjoy the process, and then you might want to invest in a gel plate. Okay, so we're going to start. Now, honestly, like I could have pre-die cut this, but I totally forgot. So the big rectangle, we're going to use the love here later. All right, so this is, obviously it's not as large as a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, which is nice. So it's going to give you a little framer on the edge. So I'm just going to run this through real quick. So the reason why we're running this through first is because there's a really nice stitched border on this die, and we're going to use that to mask. All right, so let me see. Yeah, there you go. You can see it. So there is this really cute stitched border all the way around. All right, and I'm going to mask it off with some masking tape. Now, not regular masking tape, and I've got this down below. This tape is from a company called Mr. Pen. I found it on Amazon. It is billed as like drafting tape, or tape that a architect would use so that they could put up their projects, but it's supposed to not stick to the paper. So you're supposed to be able to remove it really easily, just like you would be able to with like your mint tape or whatever. But it comes in at a slightly lower price point, right? So I thought, well, I'll give it a try. And I do notice that it is less tacky to begin with. So that's great. And I haven't had any problems with it yet. So let's keep fingers crossed that we don't have a problem with it today. All right, so I'm just going to mask this off all the way around. All right, so there we go. This is ready to go. And I'll set that aside for the moment. So what we're going to do is just lay down some acrylic paint Now, if you're going to try this technique with your silicone mat, you can do really anything you want with this. This is a very simple way to do it. If you have acrylic paints, this works out really well. If you don't have acrylic paints, what you're going to notice is that things dry really, really fast on a silicone mat. That's why I think the gel plate is better. Not only is it more squishy, so you get like that extra cushion really helps to get it onto the paper. And then the gel plate releases the paint better, so you get like those really cool crispy edges and things like that. Plus it things don't dry on it as quickly as they do elsewhere. So this for some reason it dries more quickly on the silicone. So you kind of have to be generous with the amount of paint that you're putting down. Not so much that it's like sliding all over, but you definitely want to not put a little bit down, because you'll see like all of a sudden it's dry and it's not picking up. All right, so I put quite a bit down here. I started off with this medium magenta. All right, and I've got just my small brayer here. And just move that around a little bit. Okay, and then I've got paint on here, right? So when you're doing gel printing, you're always like wanting to wipe off your brayer, so you have like an extra piece of cardstock or paper or something on the side, some scrap, even junk mail, right? If you're going to do a junk project, that you just want to wipe your brayer off on. All right, so that works out. All right, so that'll be a really cool piece later on. Okay, so I'm going to mix pink and red, and I don't know how you guys feel about pink and red mixed together. I used to not like it, especially like hot pink and like a real red color. But now I think it looks really cool. So this is primary red. And again, I put a couple of different globs down here. And I don't want to move my brayer all over the place. I do want like a little bit of blending. It doesn't have to be a whole lot. That's pretty good. All right, and again, I'm going to wipe off my brayer on my scrap piece. All right, let's see what that turned out. So that looks really cool. This will be great for like cutting out die cuts or even just using as a cool background. Looks really neat. All right, so this is down. I mean, I feel like some of these I might have put down just a little too much. That's okay. Every time is an adventure with this. Really, there's no wrong way to do it. The results are always just different, and that's okay. Okay, so here we go. This is my piece that is masked, and I'm going to put this right down into here. I'm not doing anything special with this. Like I'm not putting any designs in it or any kind of stamping or anything. I could do that, but I really just wanted this really cool kind of painted background. So I'm just going to put it right down in here and rub. And then pull it up. And there we go. That's so awesome. So you can see like the lines and where it didn't go because of the masking and everything. And then I can very carefully pull off my masked pieces here. And I'm going to have this really cool panel. So I will tell you, if this gets you excited, if you give it a try and you're like, oh, this is so fun, and you like find yourself doing this all the time, get yourself a gel plate, because you're going to want to have the real thing. All right, so I've got all this extra on here. It's still damp. So I'm going to just take a larger piece of, this is just mixed media paper. And I'm going to try to grab as much of the excess as I can. And then you're going to see like what, how much stays behind because it's a silicone mat. All right, so that's really cool. And that worked pretty well. Like I said, you do need to be somewhat generous with the amount of material you're putting on here, because you want it to pick up onto the paper, right? So I'll take this other piece here. And just grab up all the stuff that hasn't dried yet. Now on a typical gel plate, a lot of this would come up, but this is basically dry at this point. Like if I put a piece of cardstock down on it, it's not picking any of that up. So that's really one of the big differences between using just a silicone mat and using a gel plate, is that none of this is ever going to come up again. It's all just really kind of dried on the silicone, and that is, that's lost. But here's some really cool extra pieces now that I can use for another project. Very cool. All right, and of course, here's our piece for today. And you can see like some of the red turned into more of a pink. So it kind of gave it more of a darker hot pink look instead of a true like red versus pink. But I really like the way that looks. All right, so, and this is like 99% dry. So once I move this all out of the way, which I'm going to do. Oh, and just like the silicone, just like the gel plate, the silicone, you just need to wash it off with soap and water and everything will come off just fine. All right, so now that like I've talked for 2 seconds, this is dry already. All right, so isn't that amazing? Like we put all of that paint down, and just because I spread it out and we lifted it up off of here, it's dry. So cool. These are awesome. Yeah. Okay, there we go. Okay, so next step on this guy is to get some stamping. You're going to see like this card, we're going to be done in probably 15 minutes. It'll be a short one today. That's okay. All right, so I've got my VersaFine Clair. And I've got my stamp and die set. Now, this is where the little tricky part comes in, because we're doing like a reverse die cut. And this guy's going to go in here like so. So this is the point where you need to decide like what's up and what's down, you know. So is this going to be up and down? Are you going to do it this way? You know, which direction is this bad boy going to go? I think we'll do it that way. And I'm going to put this piece of plastic in here just to help guide me, so I don't stamp on this without everything being nice and square. Okay, so on my sample, I did Love You, My Friend. And where did I get that all from? So I have the Love You here, but I really just want the You and then the My Friend. I mean, you could say all sorts of things, special delivery, you know, all sorts of things. Okay, so this guy is going to go kind of like so. This is really cool. Not often do I see people do vertical words like this, and I really like the look of it. So give it a try. All right, and then the Love You, this You is really, you could snip this if you want to. You can do a little stamp surgery. But the Love, I wanted to kind of end up right here. So you have a choice. You can either die cut this first and then stamp, which actually would work out okay as well. But I think that if you do it that way, you might run into issues with like this not stamping quite right. So there we go. So just want to make sure that this looks square. All right, so let's, and I'm not concerned about the love. I'm gonna mask that off so we could start with it. So you know what I like about the vertical sentiment, and Anne was just saying that she really liked the look of it, is that in this case with the stamp look, it's kind of like a real stamp, right? Because a lot of times words go vertical on a stamp like that, which is really cute. All right, so we're just using VersaFine Clair in Nocturne, and it works so nice on top of the acrylic paint. Okay, I have no idea if that was square in there or not. So let's try that again and see. Yeah, it was. Okay. So by stamping on the plastic here, of course, I can see kind of how everything worked. And then the love is going to go like so. So that's going to work out really well. Okay. Now I can remove this and put this down. I'm not concerned about the love. True. I mean, like I could have, like for my practice stamping, I could have just left it unmasked, but you may as well practice like you're performing, right? Because you want to make sure that you do all of the steps. Otherwise, like you'll forget to take the mask off and then you'll have this big black splotch here. So practice like you're performing. I just kind of want to make sure that stays down flat. There we go. Here we go. Because otherwise you're starting this bad boy over again. This is one card that you're not getting a second chance on, unfortunately. And there it is. This is one of the moments that I'm like, oh, VersaFine Clair. It's so beautiful. It's stamped so amazing and perfect. Like anything, your stamp pad needs to be juicy, but these do not need to get re-inked very often, let me tell you. It's been a while since I re-inked this one, and it's like as fresh as the day that I bought it. I mean, look at that. The ink pad is still like absolutely pristine on here, and I have used the crap out of this guy. All right. So there. Yeah, Cece, she says, I like the white border. Yes, it's so pretty. It really, it helps call the gel plate look, so that kind of painted look. You can't really get that any other way. I suppose if you used a brush, you might be able to get something that looked similar to that, but it's so pretty. All right, so we want to give that VersaFine a minute or two to dry. And the My Friend might be just a hair crooked. It's really hard to tell though with the paint, so that's a good thing. All right, so I'm just gonna all right, so VersaFine can take a hot minute to dry, right? And especially with the paint, it kind of like fills in some of that porousness of the paper. So you might just want to hit that with your heat gun, and then like just kind of double check. Make sure that you're not getting any transferring. Because we're going to run this through the die cut machine, and I don't want to see, like I got a little bit of black speckle. Can you see that? Just that little bit of black there. It just left over places where it's not quite dry, and I don't want that to smear. So sometimes it's good to just test it a little bit. Hit it with your heat gun to make sure that it's nice and dry. There we go. Gorgeous. Yeah, Cece, play tomorrow. So the lesson here really is about doing some masking on your paper before you run your pull from your gel plate or your faux gel plate, either way, to get this kind of really cool look. Of course, you can add anything else inside of here to make it more interesting than just this blob. But yeah, there's lots of things you can do. Okay, so we're going to die cut before we do our stenciling. And I'm going to do kind of like this. So I've got the love kind of extending so that the O falls in between the V and the E, and that groups those words together so that it really looks like a cohesive message. All right, so again, make sure that that is on there pretty secure, because we only get one chance at this one too, right? And I'll run this through the die machine. There we go. So, and then this comes off nice and clean. Like it does not pull any of the paint off of the paper, which is really great. All right, so we need to save these little inside pieces. And then of course we do have a word that we will be able to save and use for another project that looks awesome because it's like all pink and red. It does have a little bit of a black spot on here from the Y. So that's why maybe you would want to die cut it first. However, like I said, sometimes when you die cut and then you stamp over it, you get like an extra smush, or it doesn't quite work out right. It doesn't touch all the pieces like it's supposed to. So that's kind of why I'm in favor of doing the stamping first and then the die cutting. But see, like I've got that little serif from the Y over here on the bottom of the V. But if I do something creative with it, you'll never even know, right? So, oh, like I'm like, hey, let's put this on the card base and we're done. No, we're not done. Okay. We need to make this a little more interesting. So let's do that. I've got a fun heart stencil. All right, and let's put a little bit. Grab my little sticky sheet. You know, I always cut these down so that they work for much longer. Very frugal with some things in my, sometimes I'm really frugal with things in my craft space and sometimes I'm not at all. I'm like, eh, whatever, toss it or blah, blah, blah. Just use it up. Are you guys that way? Because sometimes I feel like I'm a little weird about that. Okay, so I can do hearts like on an angle, which is what I did for the sample, or I could do hearts straight. I kind of felt like the angle was a little better because there's so many other like straight things going on that I thought the angle looked a little bit better. And for some reason, when I put them straight on like this, it reminds me more of like icing, and it looks like a Pop-Tart. A toaster Pop-Tart. It's not a toaster strudel because that's something completely different here in the States, but it looked like a Pop-Tart to me. So I thought I need to angle these a little different. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm lining up this heart here so that way it shows up in this little space here. Otherwise, I had an empty space here and I didn't like the way that that turned out. All right, so I'm angling it enough that I'm actually getting vertical lines, but the hearts are at an angle instead of being straight on. You see how that's different? So it catches your eye a little differently, which I think is really nice. So try to line these guys up so that they're straight on with your sentiment, but now they're just a little angled. Frugal depending on how frustrated I am. Oh, I know, right? Sometimes it's just like, done with that. Okay, so I'm going to use some of these little scrap pieces to just do some little masking because I don't want any of these hearts on the white. And sometimes it gets a little crazy when you're doing embossing paste that you don't want to you don't want to go crazy with it, right? Okay, so I should be able to kind of stay out of the way. I could have just done like one big line over here, but that's all right. It'll work. Not too concerned about those. These are the ones that I'm more concerned about. So that guy there. And that guy there. And then I want to cover up the ones in the love. And this one I'm kind of 50-50 about. I think I am going to cover that one too. All right, so just a little bit of simple masking to keep things from showing up. So I know something's kind of funky not in line here. Just because of the way things were lining up with my masking. That's better. These guys, of course, I'm not going to do. I don't know why I keep doing this. I could be making like longer pieces and it would be just fine. There. Okay. Ooh. So now I care about love. Yes, yes, I do. Okay, so there's 3 different mediums that you can use for this. Originally, I used the Collage Crazing Distress Medium because it's transparent. All right, but if you have another clear medium like the shimmer medium or the clear medium from Imagine Crafts, you can use those. Anything will work. The crazing medium didn't really craze because the space was so small. I think this is something that you really notice when you're doing larger spaces. So this was just really, just kind of turned out the way it did because it was such a small space. So you can see here, like, they're kind of bubbled up a little bit, but they didn't really like craze like cracked glass or anything like that because I'm putting embossing powder on top of them. All right, so we're going to just use this creative medium from Imagine Crafts. I don't think I have this listed, but I certainly can add it later. So this one is the shimmer. So it's got a little bit of shimmer in it. And I don't know that that matters because, like I said, we're going to put embossing powder over this. So we're just going to fill in some of these hearts. If you don't fill them all in perfectly, that's okay. Make sure that I get this one over here. Now that I made such a point of getting that space. So anyway, on to talking about our poll. Yeah, so like, you know, when you're younger, I don't know if they do this overseas, but we used to give Valentines to our classmates, like when we were in elementary school. And then it became like a taboo thing because, well, it was more about like if you gave a Valentine to someone because you liked them. And then you get married or, you know, have a significant other and then it's all about them, right? But I think at some point it can all circle back around and like giving Valentines and stuff to friends now is really kind of a cool thing to do. All right. So you guys are all still 50-50 on the yes and no. So maybe after today, you will think about creating some Palentines or Galentines and sending them to your friends. So what I'm doing is I'm taking a whole bunch of Valentines, Palentines, Galentines, whatever. Let's forgot it here. And I am packaging them up with some of my other cards and sending them to friends to encourage them to send handmade stuff to handmade greetings to their friends. So this is the embossing glaze in Kitsch Flamingo. So it's not going to like take over. So this is a technique, embossing powder on embossing paste. All right. And as you can see, it just kind of stuck to all those hearts. And it doesn't have to stick perfectly. Like sometimes the effect is better when it doesn't stick perfectly because then you see some of the glaze and then some of the embossing powder and it looks cool that way. All right. Close. These little jars don't always like to close. There we go. And nothing worse than having embossing powder everywhere. Well, maybe glitter. They're both pretty on par. Okay, so talk amongst yourselves. I'm going to heat emboss this and dry the glaze at the same time, or the paste at the same time. So do you have plans to send cards to other than your significant other for the holiday? Mm. All right. Oh, there you go. Good conversation. So Cece says that Valentine's isn't that big in Sweden, but it's been more popular. Yeah, I think that's the same. Like even Halloween is kind of the same in parts of the world. So, all right, back it up here. So, it's kind of cool because I was heating up the paste as well as the powder, and I think they just kind of react really well together and create these really neat little bubbly heart texture things. They're very cool. So that gives this whole background some extra texture, which is fantastic. All right. It would have been okay like on its own, but extra texture is great. Okay, so this is going on the card base. Now it is just a hair wonky because we did heat it up. So you can mess around with just kind of getting that to be a little more flat before we glue it down. You're going to want to make sure that you get glue in your the little spots here around the sentiment especially. So this is a nice place to start with just a little bit, even this little segment of the V especially. You don't want that like popping up. So I always just do like little swirls around the edges here to make sure that I get the whole sentiment covered. There we go. All right, now I can go crazy and go all the way around. This die I really like because the stitching doesn't seem to necessarily go all the way through. And I've noticed that sometimes if you have a die that has like little stitch details or whatever, that sometimes the glue can pop up from in between. This one does not do that, so that's really great. Okay. So now there's a couple of things that you can do if the wonkiness like doesn't settle itself. We can pop some big acrylic blocks on top of it. Okay, so this is, I got this acrylic block. This is a new acrylic block from scrapbook.com. This is for designed for slimline cards, but I seriously bought it so that I can do this. And just put like one big acrylic block on top of something like that. Like so I can stack other ones on top of it if I need to. But this seriously does actually give you just enough pressure for just long enough that everything goes nice and flat. So while we're waiting here, let's see. Anne is sending Valentines, Palantines, Galentines cards. Lisa sends them to the grandkids, which, you know, totally, I could completely understand that. That's so cute. Becca says that she sent "We Really Like You" cards to her Christmas list. That's awesome. That's a lot of cards. That could be a lot of cards. Trisha sent some to, she made some for her grandkids. That's awesome. So very cool. And excellent. Cool. All right. So that, see, look, it's like magic. It's nice and flat now. So just a minute, zone out for a second. Oh yeah, Stampin' Up had this one, Nancy, I swear, is bigger than the one from Stampin' Up. Because I had that one too. I want to say that it was probably this size. This one is ginormous. I mean, look at how big. This is 4 by 9. It's huge. Huge. All right. So this could be done. There's a couple things we need to do just to finish it off. So let's zoom back in. All right, so we do need to put our little pieces back in here, as you can see. But what else is missing are the little serifs from the top of the Y. So when I did my sample card, I did something really difficult. Like I stamped the U on the base and then I had to line everything up. But I decided that a precision pen, so any kind of journaling pen, if used carefully, will get you the look that you're going for. So just a little bit in there. And sometimes you have to get like right up into it. That's enough. So there. So that finishes that off. And that was just a little 0.03 journaling pen. Super simple. Okay. So for this, if you're lucky enough that your pieces have stayed in here, just very carefully add some glue. I'm going to put this down to just those little center pieces, just a little bit. Doesn't need to be a whole lot. Because as you know, especially if you use the Tombow glue like this, it sticks really well. You don't need to have glue everywhere. All right, and then you can put this whole thing right back in. This, I had 50-50 success on this. So if I put this whole thing back in, Anne says, if you have a steady hand, it looks good. Yeah, when you do the just the little markering in there. Yeah, it's kind of, some days I'm not so great at it either. So that's why you might want to take the extra time to stamp the card bases to get things lined up. Okay, so I've got a new tool I want to share with you guys. So this was a freebie recently on scrapbook.com. This is the Crafter's Essential Sticky Piercer by We Are Memory Keepers. Now, I didn't necessarily need a new piercing tool, although the one that I had like a little silicone bit on it, and it was getting kind of gross. So I thought, oh, a new piercer, I could use that. This one's like major, like I could pierce my ears with that for sure. That's pretty hardcore right there. Okay, so I'm going to use the end of my piercer here to just kind of lift the L up and hopefully be able to keep these pieces down as I do my lifting. There we go. Ta-da! And then you can smush a little bit more and make sure those stay down. Gorgeous, right? Okay, so Becca, you're killing me today. Okay, so what I really got this for, like I said, it was a freebie, so that's pretty cool. I'm going to put the lid on this side so that I don't hurt myself. I wanted to try this today for some gems. Yeah, Nancy, you can totally use this for surgery. That's crazy. I wish it doesn't appear to come apart. Double-sided tool with a tacky tip and a paper piercing end. It kind of would be cool if you could take it apart so that way you could use them separately, because sometimes you want to use like a piercer to kind of help push things along. But okay, so this side is a sticky nib. Focus, please. There we go. And I was really surprised when I opened it up. It's soft. It's like a really soft silicone. And it is tacky. All right. And it says here, clean the tacky tip with a wet paper towel. So that's supposed to keep it tacky. We'll see how it goes. Okay, so for this one, I'm going to do, of course, my typical 3. And you could do black or you could do like your traditional silver here. So see, this is really good because I can have my pokey end to move some of these around. So this is like maiden voyage on this, guys. Ooh, that picked that right up. Trisha says they do come apart in the middle. Well, I need to figure that part out because mine doesn't seem to want to come apart. All right. And then remember last week we were talking about clear glue. So I love this bottle. This is from my my On Point glue. I love this bottle. And I did not like the bottle from Spellbinders, so I switched them around, and because this one was empty, and I put the Spellbinders glue inside of here. I really like the Spellbinders glaze and glue. So it was between that one and the Judikins. I like them both. Okay, so we're going to do 3 gems. And so here we go. See, look at that. This has been hanging out on here the whole time. It came off pretty easy. So there we go. So the test really is like these teeny tiny ones. Oh, here, let's find the medium one. All right. Oops, and I already have glue down. So the medium one. Yeah, see, like it's sometimes it doesn't want to come off. So I would think that I'd want to oh, haha, there. I just had to kind of pry it apart a little bit. That's perfect. Haha, yes. Thanks, Trisha. I need to send you a tip from the tip jar. That was awesome. Okay, so the little teeny tiny one. This is the, oopsie. This is the real test. Don't want the black one. Okay, so far I really like this tool because it's super grabby. But you do need to use like another piece, like especially for that small one there. There. Love it. Okay, so this is the We Are Memory Keepers. Oh yeah, there's a little, let's see, can you see that? Yeah, right there. And then it has a matching bit on this end. So you're just gonna match those up. And it clicks right back together. Why doesn't this tell you that it comes apart? Because it should, I guess it kind of shows it here, but it doesn't really, it doesn't tell you that. So there you go. So this side, oh, this doesn't come apart. So it's just the one side, but that's fine. It's exactly what I needed. Excellent. Okay, so the We Are Memory Keepers Sticky Piercer. Thumbs up so far. Excellent. And there we go. So cute, cute card for Valentines, Galentines, Palentines, any day that you need to send some love to a friend. So there we go. Did you guys like it? It's a very cute card. Next week, we are doing scraps. So all of the projects that we had like leftover scraps, like this little love piece. We had lots of scraps left over earlier in the month, especially even those pieces that we did with the leftovers from the gel plate. We'll use those, all sorts of scraps to create some really cool collage style. And we'll talk about easy collage and how you can put together things real quick like that. So that's next week, and that will be the end of January. Like I said, in February, we are going into a dyes only month, and we're going to be featuring Ulta New dyes. I am actually doing some hops with them next month. I'm doing their craft flower, and they are doing a standalone dye release, so I'm participating in both of those. Yes. And yeah. Oh, and I do have March's stamp set picked out. I will share that with you next week. So that way, if you want to participate, you've got plenty of time to get it. It is from Picket Fence Stamps, and it's a big stamp. I really love it. Anyway, guys, I love spending some time with you today. And look, we made it pretty far into the hour. And let's see. So at the end of our poll, we've got 54% say that they have sent a Valentine to a friend. 46 said they haven't. I hope some of you who haven't in the past change your mind to I haven't, but I will now, because it's really a lot of fun to send cards to your friends for all sorts of occasions. So thanks, guys. I hope you have a wonderful weekend and you get some time to craft. I know I will. So until next week, happy crafting.